The shelter was loud. But his corner was quiet. He lay curled against the back wall, where the light barely reached. Not because he wanted to hide, but because hiding had become familiar. His body was still. Too still for a place filled with barking hope. Other dogs pressed their faces against the bars. Tails thumped like unanswered questions. Eyes followed every passing step. But he didn't rush forward. He watched. From a distance. His eyes were soft. Not empty. Just careful. They carried the look of someone who had once waited too long. And learned what happens when no one comes. Time moved strangely around him. Mornings came. Evenings left. Footsteps passed, slowed, then continued on. Sometimes someone stopped. A hand reached out. His ears would lift, just a little. Not with excitement. With memory. Then the hand moved away. And his ears fell back into place. He never barked when they left. He had already learned the sound of departure. His bed was thin. The floor beneath it colder than it looked. He shifted sometimes, not to get comfortable, but to remind himself he was still there. Still waiting. There was a name on his kennel card. But names meant very little here. They changed too easily. What stayed the same was the feeling in his chest. That quiet ache. The kind that doesn't cry out. It just settles. He had been here long enough to understand the rhythm. Hope arrives loudly. And leaves without saying goodbye. So he waited in a way that didn't hurt as much. By expecting nothing. The day they came, nothing felt different at first. Another couple. Another slow walk down the row. They stopped. Looked. Moved on. He didn't lift his head. Then the footsteps returned. Not rushed. Not hesitant. Just present. Someone crouched outside his kennel. No fingers through the bars. No calling his name. Just quiet. That caught his attention. He shifted his head slightly, eyes lifting without commitment. The human didn't move. They breathed. The shelter noise faded behind that moment. Not gone, just softened. A minute passed. Then another. He inched forward. Barely. Enough to see them clearly. They didn't smile wide. Didn't lean in. They waited. That was new. When the door opened, he didn't stand. He stayed where he was, watching the open space between them. Fear and curiosity shared the same breath. The leash was clipped gently. No tug. No rush. Outside the kennel, the floor felt strange beneath his paws. Too open. He paused after every step, checking if the world would disappear again. It didn't. In the meeting area, he stayed close to the wall. As if it could protect him from hope. The human sat on the floor. Not reaching. One of them spoke softly. Not words meant to convince. Just sounds meant to exist. He lay down. Not in surrender. In observation. Minutes stretched. Something inside him loosened, not trust yet. Just the tightness of constant defense. A hand moved slowly toward the ground. Palm open. Still. He leaned forward, sniffed the air, then the hand. He didn't pull away. That was everything. Later, outside, the leash felt lighter. He walked beside them. Not ahead. Not behind. Beside. Every sound made him flinch. Every shadow asked questions. But the human stayed calm. Steady. When fear rose, they stopped. When he froze, they waited. Trust didn't arrive all at once. It arrived like dawn. Quietly. Almost unnoticed. On the ride away from the shelter, he curled into himself. Not because he was afraid, but because he was unsure where he was allowed to be. One human glanced back. Met his eyes. Didn't look away. That was when something shifted. The house smelled different. Not sharp. Not loud. Soft. He stepped inside slowly, each paw testing the floor as if it might vanish. The door closed behind him. He stiffened. Then nothing happened. No echoing noise. No raised voices. Just space. He wandered. Paused. Listened. A bed was placed near the corner of the room. Not forced. Just offered. He circled it once. Twice. Lay down. His chest rose and fell deeply, the kind of breath he hadn't taken in a long time. That night, he didn't sleep much. He watched. Watched the humans move. Watched the lights dim. Watched the world stay. In the early hours, when the house was quiet and no one was looking, he stood. Walked toward them. Slowly. Carefully. He rested his head against a knee. Just for a second. Then waited for the consequence. None came. A hand rested on his back. Warm. Still. He stayed. Days passed. He learned the sound of footsteps that meant morning. The rhythm of bowls being filled. The way laughter sounded when it wasn't followed by leaving. His tail wagged once. Then again. Tentative. Like a question. Outside, he began to explore. Not running, but walking with purpose. When he got scared, he looked back. They were always there. The moment it truly happened wasn't dramatic. No big gesture. No perfect scene. Just a quiet afternoon. He lay at their feet, head resting on the floor. Then, without thinking, he rolled onto his side. Exposing his belly. Trust doesn't shout. It whispers. And in that whisper, he chose them. Not because they rescued him. But because they stayed. That night, he slept deeply. No watching. No waiting. Just rest. Some bonds don't begin with certainty. They begin with patience. With sitting quietly. With choosing to stay even when trust hasn't arrived yet. He didn't know their names. Didn't understand their promises. But he understood presence. And sometimes, that is enough. Because love doesn't always come when we're ready. Sometimes it arrives gently, and waits for us to notice. And when two souls finally choose each other, the world becomes a softer place to land.